Good afternoon and welcome to Teaching Behind the Screen, an initiative of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. This is part 2 of a 3-part series that seeks to provide assistance and guidance to parents, teachers and students as they maneuver this new online and blended learning experience. It has been over a year since schools in Trinidad and Tobago have closed, and we understand that many of our teachers are still adapting to this new online and blended learning environment. This session will seek to provide some support to our teachers who are going through this time of learning this new kind of teaching. We understand that many teachers are still finding it difficult to engage in this type of online learning. In addition to having to teach their charges, teachers also have their own responsibilities at home. Many of them have children of their own who also require attention as they go through their online learning, while teachers also have to provide online learning to their students. So in this series today, I will be joined by 3 panelists. And my name is Vanessa Boyce, Program Officer 2 in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Our panelists today include Ms. Suzanne Grant, Assistant Education Coordinator, Student Support Services in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, Ms. Charlene Finley-Stewart, Therapeutic Counselor, Ms. Diani Whiskey John, Principal of Middle School Providenciales, Turks and Caicos Islands. And our first presenter today will be Ms. Charlene Finley-Stewart. She's a therapeutic counselor and she will be talking about how teachers can cope from a psychological standpoint. Charlene Finley-Stewart is passionate about helping people heal, grow, and change their lives for the better. She is a forensic psychologist with a Master's in Science degree in forensic psychology and a certified counselor. She has been practicing for many years, during which time she has used her skills to work with the Child Protection Unit on child sexual cases. Charlene and her husband, who she has been married to for over 11 years, has a business called Vivid Consultancy Group, where they both vlog about strengthening marriages with Christian values and to couples and those thinking about marriage, conduct seminars and presentations about mental health, and build websites for small and medium-sized businesses. In addition, she has been an educator for high school students and adults for several years. Ms. Finley-Stewart is currently a therapeutic counselor with the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development. She works to help people cope with the effects of this pandemic alongside her team and members. Ms. Charlene Finley-Stewart.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here this evening. So good afternoon to all our viewers. And as we're talking about, we're dealing with the aspect of teachers and how they function within this pandemic. I want to first start off telling you a story about a teacher. Now, this is a real life story. The teacher decided to share her experience because she was so frustrated and she wanted someone to talk to. So she would get up every day, prepare for classes. She would even have to prepare her children for classes. Then she would engage in her class session, which she would have prayer and devotion. You could even hear the excitement of when she's engaging with her classes through the Zoom sessions. After that, she would now have to engage with her children who did not have her undivided attention when she was in her Zoom class and they were also in their Zoom class. Then after that, now she has to deal with the fact of, now I need to prepare a meal for these children. But she's so overwhelmed and so bombarded, and she has to go through this whole period of trying to understand what it is I'm going to do. But even with all of that, she still has to deal with parents calling, bombarding. That's how she feels, with they requesting undivided attention because they feel neglected because she didn't give them the attention they needed. Because they too are working parents, but they don't realize that she is a working parent and a mother to children as well, and have to learn how to balance his emotion. She becomes overwhelmed, she becomes frustrated, she feels neglected, she feels no one understands her cries because they think she needs to be a superwoman in order to accomplish her daily tasks. That is the life of a teacher. And what are we, the public, doing to support them during this time? So as you see on the screen here, COVID-19 has taken a toll on many emotionally, mentally, and physically. So let's go into, first we'll explain what is mental health. Mental health focuses on one's health because it's so important. It allows us to focus on one's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It also affects the way we think, we feel, and act. It also helps us determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Now, you might be saying, okay, but how does that affect me? But every single person goes through some form of mental stress during their daily activities. And note that mental health is important because that is how we are able to cope on a daily basis. Now, when your mental health is affected, your mood, your thinking, and your behavior can change. Now, based on this person's story that you have heard, you realize that she's suffering silently because she is expected to perform so much on a daily basis, and no one is listening to her cry and her story. Now, as a psychologist, I too can relate to that incident as well, because it's expected of us that we need to put on this cap and function where others are coming to us with their stresses. But we are also human as well, and we would also experience some stresses during this pandemic. So in my profession, I can relate to the teachers. I can understand the frustration of knowing that you have to balance work and family and personal care. When we think about this whole aspect, we have to focus on this new normal, where teachers now have to adapt, and they're forced to. Yes, it's frustrating, but they have to make the adjustments and the change in order to survive. But I want to give them some advice. I want them to understand that, yes, even though you're frustrated, yes, there are ways you can cope, because you have to understand that being overwhelmed is not abnormal. Everyone experiences it. And there are ways that you can find to cope on a daily basis in order to understand and to survive and to move forward with your life. So we're going to highlight 5 coping skills. First one is keep a positive attitude. Focus on the good things that you have encountered each day. Remind yourself you have life, you have health, you have food on the table. Now you might be saying, I don't have as much food because maybe someone in the home has lost their job, but there's still food coming in. So focus on those positive. Think about that you've woken up today and that you can see life. You can experience joy in whatever activities. You still have your family around. And even if you don't have family, I'm sure you have some friends. And as the third point highlighted, surround yourself with positive people. Because one of the distressors that we've encountered during this pandemic is many persons have been associated or focusing on doom and gloom episodes. So all these persons will come to it all this negative energy, and it sinks you lower. So even if you can find one positive person just to give you some encouragement, find that one positive person. The second point, take care of yourself. This is so important as individuals, because many times we don't take care of ourselves. We focus on taking care of everyone. As a teacher, you have to make sure that your children are positive, they're focused in the classroom, they're engaged, because teaching on a screen is not the same as teaching in a classroom. You have to make sure that they are engaging with you. You have to go through all these different excitements, perform all different activities, have videos to engage them. I've seen it perform, and I can say it's miraculous to see how these teachers are performing on virtual classroom. But they also need to take care of themselves. They need to get enough sleep, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Try to get to bed at 10 p.m. for the latest. You need to get that rest, because if you don't, the next day is going to be very hazardous for your mood. Exercise regularly. I know, of course, because we're locked in, it's kind of difficult to go out and exercise. But you can still engage in some little forms of exercising. maybe run up and down the stairs, look at a YouTube video, download an app on your phone, which you can do a 7-minute exercise every day to help build the metabolism in your body, help move that body. Because sometimes when you're so stagnant, it really affects your mood and sets you more into a deeper state of depression. Eat a healthy diet. Now you might be saying, I don't have much, but cut down on certain carbs and stuff, work on these different things. Eat food in smaller portions to kind of guide you in terms of your meal setting. So this way in that you're not sluggish when you're eating. And of course, if you put in a little 7 minutes of exercise, you can be motivated to go forward each day. The third point I want to highlight is set boundaries and create schedules. Now you're wondering where I'm going with this. Set a time schedule to respond to parents and children, and create a schedule for your family. Now, when you were in the face-to-face classroom setting, school operated within a certain time, and those were the times that you allotted in terms of engaging with parents and children, even if it is you work after hours. You need to put that same routine within the virtual world, not because they might say we have access to you more. No, you need to set that boundaries for your sanity. So you have your class settings during the day, and even if you allocate time after classes, you can do so and set those boundaries, make them work within that schedule where you can help them within that time. Set goals for the parents as well, where they can engage in activities with their children. And if perchance they are unable to complete an assignment because they don't understand, tell them communicate with you, but within a reasonable hour, because you both need to rest. You both need to function and be at your utmost for your family. And in terms of creating a schedule for your family, now you might be wondering about how can I create a schedule for my family? When you have children with you and you're a teacher, I guess it's kind of difficult to balance both. But what one of the teachers said is that they explain to the child, not because I'm not talking to you within this period means I don't care about you, but mommy has to dedicate some time to her students. And when you're finished, because your teacher is dedicating time to you, mommy will dedicate time to you as well after that. And you work out even family bonding time as well, so that way they don't feel abandoned. Maybe a spouse, a significant other will also know that we're all trying to work in this together. And if possible, you have a spouse who can rotate their time schedule. They can also assist in terms of chores at home and even monitoring the children while you're in the Zoom session. The fourth point is get support from colleagues and friends. Now this is so important because we all need support where no man is an island. You can create a support system with your colleagues. All of you are in the same profession. All of you understand the struggles, and you can decide at a WhatsApp group, virtual Zoom, and talk to each other, share with each other, discuss, plan a particular time in the day where it doesn't take away too much from each other's family, and discuss the varying issues that you have. And sometimes you might have a problem you encountered in your class setting that they were able to overcome. And by sharing these different views will help you in order to move forward within your class setting, because encouragement is key. Sometimes we think we can do it alone, but we do need encouragement daily. And discuss it, talk to each other. Even if you have other friends who might understand, even discuss and share with them. Sometimes you need to vent. You need to make sure that you practice that same habit every day. And last but not least, pay attention to signs. Be aware of signs that you are becoming overwhelmed. Pay attention to your mind and your body. So you may be asking, what does this mean? Many teachers are affected by the stresses of life because they have to balance work and home, as I mentioned previously. And this has been taking a toll on them mentally, emotionally, and physically. Some may have some extreme situations where they may be experiencing some form of mental illness, such as anxiety or depression. These symptoms now, if it prolongs over days or weeks continuously, then you may be falling into the category of suffering with a mental illness. Now note that don't feel bad and say, but depression is bad. Yes, it is, but it doesn't mean that you alone is going through this particular issue. It just means that you are not infallible. You're human. And you have to be able to speak out about it. Talk to someone. Let them know that I think I'm in a bad place and I need some help. Now, signs or symptoms to indicate that you may be in this situation will be feelings of fear, anger, sadness, worry, numbness or frustration, changes in appetite, energy, desires, interests, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, difficulty sleeping or even having nightmares, physical reactions such as headaches, body pains, stomach problems and skin rashes, worsening of chronic health problems, and worsening of mental health conditions. Now, if perchance you decide to implement these 4 previous points that I mentioned, which is keep a positive attitude, take care of yourself, set boundaries and create schedules, and create a support system, you will see that there will be some improvement in terms of your daily activities, your daily life, your schedule. But if perchance you realize that you're feeling more overwhelmed, and even though you try to implement these, you're not able to balance it, seek professional help. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, and in terms of teachers, you can contact your principal or the division, and you can get in touch with EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Program, where you can get some assistance with someone to talk to, someone to share your issues, someone to vent to let them know, I just need help, I just need some guidance, I need emotional support. Remember, there's no shame in seeking help because your mental health is valuable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very informative session, Ms. Finley Stewart. You highlighted very important points. Keep a positive attitude, take care of yourself, set boundaries and create schedules, get support from colleagues and friends, and pay attention to signs. And I hope that the teachers who are listening would really take those. And as you also said, that if all else fails and if you still believe that you still need support, the division is in collaboration, of course, with the Employee Assistance Program. So you can contact the Employee Assistance Program and get that extra support if you need it. So throughout the session, for those who have questions and those who are viewing on Facebook or in our Zoom session, you can submit your questions there. And of course, if you need any information, anyone who needs information, you can visit the division's website at thadeie.gov.tt. Now, we have a few questions from some teachers, and I would give the first question. Also, you sort of covered it in your presentation. I would still ask the question because you may be able to add a little bit here. The question is, as a teacher, parents are contacting me anytime, day or night. I feel like I'm on call 24/7. How can I set boundaries with parents and students without appearing uncaring?
Okay. One of the things that I did in terms of setting boundaries was set a time schedule. I've even installed the business WhatsApp on my phone where it alerts persons that I'm working with in a particular hour. So at least it gives some sort of idea that, yes, I'm willing to assist you, but these are my working hours. Now, if it is possible for you, and you can possibly get a second phone, a cheap phone, or a second SIM, because you might have a dual phone, you can install the WhatsApp business. Set your time schedule. Send it out to them, let them know these are the times you're working with. And the good thing about even having a second phone, if it is you're willing to work until 6, 7 or 8 o'clock, if you're willing to go that extent, switch it off. Switch it off. Switch off your phone, and you need to de-stress. So don't feel overwhelmed and don't feel pressured, because if it is you in a face-to-face situation, unfortunately, you would have had to switch it off. Mm-hmm. So operate within that mode, because yes, of course you can, but you can't care at the expense of your mental health. Mm-hmm. So create an email that they can contact you via, and let them respond within that email to questions or issues they may have. Give them support, give them information, but also let them know your mental health is in problem. Once you set boundaries and you stick to it, yes, persons may have to adjust, but it really helps you as well, and it reminds you too of where it is you need to function, you need to go, and it kind of gives you some ease. So try that step. I know it's going to take some time to work with some parents, but try the step and get involved, and you might see some progress and changes.
Okay. We have another question, and the second question is, what coping strategies will you give to teachers who are also parents of students at different educational levels from the one they teach? And I think you did address that slightly, but probably you can go into that as well, because I remember even in speaking with a teacher, she is a teacher of Standard 2, and she has a son who just transitioned from preschool into primary school, and she was telling me that for the first term in September last year, her son was not able to attend any classes because she was now adjusting to this online experience. And her son, because he had just transitioned to a new teacher and a new class, it was difficult for him to attend classes alone, even at that young age. So we have teachers out there who are battling now with that scenario where their children, probably they have single parents as well, and their children are in a different class from them, so probably they have to now teach them separate from teaching their child, or provide that separate sort of attention. So what coping strategies would you give to teachers who are in that situation, where they are parents of students who are at different levels than what they teach?
Well, first, I know some teachers are blessed where they may have either a significant other or family members they can rely on, who can assist to monitor the children within that particular time period to at least give some aid. What I can also suggest, if perchance you are not that fortunate, talk to the teacher, talk to the child, because everything has to do with communication. As unrealistic as it sounds, we have to communicate. And you know, sit with your child for a few minutes, just say, Mommy just has to sit here. Or maybe where you can have your classroom setting is that you're not too far from the child, so the child knows, I can't walk up to Mommy immediately, but Mommy is at least close by in case I feel distressed. So set it in a particular way where the child feels supported even though you're not involved. And this way now you can either feel a little comforted knowing that your child is focusing in the classroom setting. These things take time. All these things are trial and error because we're all adjusting to this. But I assure you, just keep the faith, keep holding on, and you will make it through.
Thank you very much, Ms. Finley Stewart. So we will take a break at this point, and I want to remind those who are listening or joining in on our Facebook and Zoom that you can send your questions there. And of course, when we get back, we will be continuing with teaching behind the screen. Our next presenter is Ms. Diani Whiskey John, Professional Development Consultant, and she will be joining in to provide some more coping strategies for teachers. So as we take a break, we want to remind you to keep your mask on.
While this coronavirus pandemic continues to challenge us every day in every way, especially in tourism, now is not the time to let our guard down.
I choose to protect myself, my family,
my co-workers,
my community,
and this beautiful place called Tobago.
Because it's going to take a united effort to create a safer Tobago
for residents, frontline staff,
and hopefully very soon visitors from abroad.
Together, we can do the right thing by putting our mask on,
physical distancing,
following all the recommended safety protocols to fight the spread of this virus.
Tobago needs every single one of us to do the right thing.
And lead by example.
No matter who we are.
As an entertainer,
as a sister and friend,
as a husband,
an entrepreneur,
a leader. I put my mask on, and so should you.
Join us in putting your mask on, because covering your face is one small act of kindness
that has the power to bring us together and potentially save a life.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on. Please, let's help to return this island to normalcy.
Welcome back to Teaching Behind the Screen. This is a production of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy, and it's part 2 of a 3-part series. Our second presenter this afternoon is Ms. Diani Whiskey John. With over 32 years of experience in the education sector, Ms. Diani Whiskey John has a track record of successful teaching and education reform. An experienced school administrator and educator with qualifications in education and business administration. Ms. Whiskey John's work has contributed to the development of human capital in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean Basin. She is the holder of a teacher's diploma from the Valsains Teaching College, a Bachelor of Science degree with a major in business education and a minor in mathematics from Andrews University, Michigan, postgraduate diploma in education administration from the University of the West Indies School of Education, and an executive master of business administration from the Arthur Luckjack Global School of Business. After serving for 27 years as an educator in varying schools in Tobago, Ms. Whiskey John served as curriculum officer at the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy before taking on the role of principal at the Middle School Providenciales, Turks and Caicos Islands. Ms. Whiskey John is currently a professional development consultant who facilitates workshops and trainings as well as training support in the areas of curriculum and instruction. She is the author of UMPH, UMPH, Understanding Mindsets, Practicing How to Write Stories Using Box Paragraphing. UMPH seeks to develop the story writing skills of emerging and weak writers. The author developed the box paragraphing strategy to support weak writers and their teachers. Now join me as we welcome Ms. Diani Whiskey John.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you all hearing clearly?
Yes, we are, yes.
Great. Okay. So I'm about to share my screen. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Are you seeing the screen? Yes?
Yes,
Great.
we are.
So I want to say a really pleasant good afternoon, and I know that COVID-19 has created a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, has placed a lot of stress on us. But today I want to ask you, are you flourishing behind the screen? How are you feeling and functioning? And at this time, if you can type into the chat box, tell me, how are you feeling at this time? I would like this session to be a bit interactive. And because I can't see all of you face to face, I would like you to use the chat box. So tell me, just type one word that probably describes how you're feeling or how you're functioning at this time. And I'll see it coming up shortly. So teaching behind the screen. And I have entitled this presentation, Ramp It Up. And you'll understand what I mean by ramp when we get further into this presentation. So this is our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the plot, we're going to ramp it up, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of a discussion. Again now, at this time, share in your chat your teaching mantra. So you're just going to complete the sentence to me. Online teaching is, and type in your words. When you think of online teaching, what comes to mind? How do you feel? And you no need to, well, don't use any obscenity, but dig deep and really think about the first feeling that comes to mind. You know, what is it that the words online teaching evokes? What words comes to mind, or what word comes to mind? All right. Are we seeing anything in the chat? Are they participating?
Yes, they are. Challenging, interesting, but frustrating.
So I've decided to tell this story. Are you seeing words coming up?
Yes.
Participants, I expect you to share. Yes, great. All right. So let's tell the story. And I love a good story. So we're in the workplace, and the workplace is home. And the main characters would be teachers and their families. And our challenge is the online teaching. So if we're telling this story, we first need to figure out what are the roadblocks to this entire story. What is preventing us from performing, from teaching online successfully, from flourishing in the online teaching section of, the online teaching mode? So I want you to identify your challenges, because I can't tell you what you are going through. Your neighbor can't, a fellow teacher can't. You have to do it. Identify your students' challenges, because I know it's not just you personally who are experiencing challenges, it's also your students and their parents in some instances. And now the high point of the story will be wrap it up, which is the focus of my presentation today. Now, you will choose the ending. So you're an active participant. You can decide after this presentation or after the series, am I going to go back to normal? Am I just waiting for COVID-19 to disappear and I will just go back? So I'm just marking time. Or am I going to adopt and adapt the new normal? In other words, am I going to shift my mindset? Or am I going to shape this new normal? And that would mean that you would have been shifting your mindset from what I call analog, like when you had the old time telephone that you have to dial and you dial the numbers. And now we're moving to digital, a digital mindset. Are you going to shift your mindset? So let's see. At the end, I'm going to ask you, do you think you want to adopt A? Do you want your story to end with B? Or do you want it to be C? My personal preference, I'll share the end. So let's go. So teaching in a disruptive, what we call a VUCA world, meaning it's volatile, it's uncertain, it's changing, it's ambiguous. For the first time, we are not sure about anything. And this author, I would have adapted and summarized, that we are certain, the only thing we're certain about is that the future will be different. It will surprise us. And teachers have to navigate all these unfamiliar territories, the changing times, the challenging times, the quick pace of things today we do it, tomorrow we have to change, the increasing expectations. You have to learn to use the technology. You have to know about this app. You have to switch. You have to learn about different platforms. A lot is being demanded. And also, in this environment, we still have to ensure that our students learn. So it's like a whirlwind. You're trying, when the wind takes you suddenly, you're trying to hold on your dress, you're trying to walk in the direction, you're trying to hold on to your items. This is what COVID-19 has brought to us. Serious disruption. So how are we going to think about this? And when I talked about shifting mindset, in this current environment, there's some things that we need to consider. We need to be more agile, meaning we can't remain stuck in what it was last week, last month, or last year. We have to adopt a sort of a growth mindset. We may not get the resources that we desire, all of them, but we have to maximize the resources we have, and we have to be willing to embrace all those learning opportunities, all those different things we have to learn to use. We have to be accountable. We no longer is the boss standing right by the door. No principal is standing by a classroom door, or they can't always see you. But you have to be accountable, because teaching is a noble profession, and you are in fact developing the human capital for the future. So accountability, you need to see what is needed, you need to own it, you need to solve the problem, and you need to do it. And that is so challenging. Then you need to be collaborative. You need to be still in that mode where you're sharing with your colleagues, because remember, we are all in this together and we are learning. You also need to be culturally competent. And what does that mean? It means that whether you're teaching countryside, Scarborough, wherever, you have to know the children and the parents and the culture, and you have to tailor your online teaching to meet their needs because they are the client. You also have to share and be open as well to receiving help from others and receiving all these different ideas and thoughts, consider it, and see the personal benefits that you can derive under COVID-19 conditions. And this one is a big one, be open to ambiguity. What does that mean? You can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. So you have to learn how to live with uncertainty. In other words, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and we have to be okay with that. And then you have to be an explorer. Keep on looking for opportunities to improve and how you can better your craft. Wherever you start, what level you are at in terms of the technology, you keep on exploring. Try new apps, try new platforms, try new ideas. And last but not least, it's probably the most important one. You have to be resilient, because it's resilience that will help you to bounce back. Now, all of these things won't happen overnight, but you have to now consider that these are the skill sets that you would need to survive in this digital world. It's a world where the qualities and the characteristics that teachers would have normally have at that time, and you would have survived in the profession with it, now you will have to change. You'll have to adjust your thinking. So research has shown that when the environment is volatile, you need to build agility. When it's uncertain, you need to do your research. You know, if you're not sure about something, what do? If you want to buy a new computer and you're uncertain, you will conduct research. It's the same thing. When the environment is complex, you try to ensure that when you're making your decisions, it may not be perfect in the classroom, but it's transparent, meaning that you follow a process and you know what you can share with everyone, how you derived or how you came up with your decision. So your choices should be transparent. And lastly, when things are ambiguous, you need to communicate. This part, I can't emphasize enough. I call it communicating. You have to communicate the why. You have to communicate, and communicate. You cannot over-communicate in the virtual environment. It is so critical at this time because remember, persons may not see you. They may not see your body language, but sometimes you have to ensure that the message that you sent is the one that they got, and vice versa. So we are coming to the high point. We have looked at the environment. And ramp it up stands for build relationship. So it's the R for relationship. Build agility. Manage yourself and others. And be positive. And the previous speaker would have touched on several of these, which makes my job much easier. So relationships. Ask yourself, who brings you, the teacher, joy, peace, and support? Look for these people. Connect with them regularly, because those are the people who will make you feel cared for, supported, treasured. Everybody loves to feel that way. You know, they have closed off all these spas and all these places that you would normally go and pay somebody to pamper us. So now you have to actively look for these people, because this is important. Social connections, those connections help us to buffer our stress. And if we are able to maintain these connections, then it helps us to become more resilient. So look for those people. Who are these people? Now, when it comes to your students, again, while you are connecting with your persons to build yourself, for your students, there's some things you can do. Organize online get-togethers. We love to get together. So don't only use the virtual environment for academic and strictly work. Show the students as well that you appreciate them. Use the technology, use the screen to boost and develop relationships. Share photos and souvenirs of you and the students of good times. Invite them to do these things. Use active listening. Sometimes you don't need to solve all the problems. And I heard someone ask about the parents calling and so on. Sometimes they just need you to listen. And you can listen at your timing, of course, because usually you may not be able to solve their problem. Spend a few minutes chatting before the lesson so that students, you get them to bond with you. You find that when they feel, because it's difficult to build relationships when you're not there in person, but you have to find ways. You have to listen and try to build that relationship. And now all of this will work for you as well when you are looking for those people who bring you the joy and the peace and the support. Provide feedback that shows that you think they can succeed. And that helps because it means now they'll become more motivated to do things because you're not there. Send a thank you to the family. Send out things. So let them know I'm here for you. I may not be on all the time, but I am here for you. And remind them that you care for them every day because the virtual environment is distant, okay? So I've developed a personal toolkit for agility. And when we talk about agility, agility speaks to your being able to, as it says below, know what to do when you don't know what to do. Being able to move and shift and adjust and change as needed. How do you keep up with that? It's not something you will find in a textbook. What do you do? Well, we are armed with all those tools. Just as we seek out to hear what's happening around us, you find out what's the latest, what's happening, who said what, and so forth. You're going to do that for yourself. But you're going to do it in a more professional manner. Read widely. When you go onto the internet, subscribe to places where we'll send you articles so you could read because you want help to cope. And so you can't just depend on what used to be or persons who may not understand you. You will get experiences online from people all across the world. So read wide. Track your performance. Just as the previous speaker was saying, know yourself. See if you're feeling as though you're giving 100% or is it only 80? Is something wrong? How am I performing? You have to track yourself. And then gain what I call splatter vision. Try to look at things not from only your perspective, but from a 360 degree, meaning get different perspectives. Someone comes and say, boy, this online learning thing is the worst. That's one perspective. Seek out another perspective. And not from a person of similar ilk. Look for someone who may be a little more knowledgeable or from someone who has had positive experiences. Get that 360 degree approach. It's like looking at the elephant. Don't only look at the tail. Look at the side. Look at the front. Go on top. Go below. Any news and anything that persons bring to you, question it, interrogate it, check it out. Is it true? Do I need to be frightened? Do I need to be afraid? Can I do this? And what are the tools out there to help me to do this? Everything is available out there now with the internet. So being agile personally means that you will keep on constantly scan your environment, both passively and actively, meaning you're looking around. As I say in the teaching profession, there are hundreds of teachable moments. So you have to embrace those moments, little bit by little bit, and build your agility, because you need to be able to shift quickly and to be in a good frame of mind when you shift. Okay? So agility is the countermeasure to volatility. That's speed, because that's what's happening now. Everything is moving fast and we can't keep up. It helps you to sense and seize opportunities, and it helps you to become better at changing and evolving and preparing the students and yourself to become a next generation teacher and the students to become next generation students. So definitely you need to build your agility. And this speaks for itself. Scan, look beyond the present time, create channels for sharing and feedback, ask deep questions, think outside the box, experiment and innovate. Nobody's going to be able to give you the solution. These are different times, and you will have to come up with your unique solutions. And I know you are creative. I know that each person on here, each teacher, if they dig deep in their chest, they have a lot of treasure that they can pull on, draw on, to experiment and innovate and build strength as they go forward during this period of online teaching. So the next step would be to manage yourself. Self-care, and this is a World Health Organization definition, and you're seeing it, I'm not going to read it. And that's because I've looked at these other definitions, and I like these. It says it's the intentional, proactive pursuit of integrated wellness. It balances mind, body, and spirit personally and professionally. You cannot operate at your peak if your vessel is empty. You are not taking care of yourself. You have to manage yourself first before you can manage anyone else. In fact, the only person you have control over in this entire scenario is yourself. You can't control your students. You can't control your family. You can't control anyone outside of yourself. But you can model the way and influence them. But if you are not doing a good job of that, you are not taking care of yourself and you're not modeling that, you find that it spills over. If you're calm, that spreads. If you're composed, you influence others to be composed. And if not, they draw on your emotion. It's important. And another one, self-care means listening to your body, taking moments to check intentionally, checking intentionally, tuning into the thoughts going on in your mind, challenging your behaviors and belief systems if things feel out of alignment in your life. You get up and you're not feeling well. Check, did I take my vitamins? Did I eat well? Did I exercise? What do I need to do in order to boost myself? Because you are the most important. You are at the center of everything that has happened. So self-care and managing self is critical. And for your students, you have to teach them how to do that. You know, part of the virtual experience is that students now have to manage themselves. But perhaps when they were in the classroom, we didn't need to teach them how to manage themselves. Some teachers are really good at that. From very early, they teach students how to be independent. But you have to do that now. You have to teach them how to do that. And I've put up the little bingo because you can incorporate it into your lesson. Piece by piece, you know, playing little games because you're reinforcing to them. Did you eat a meal before you started class? Did you have breakfast? Did you go out and take a break from the screen? You have to also ensure that your students are caring for themselves because they may very well be encouraged to sit in front of the screen for lengthy periods. And you find after a while they're going to get obese, they're going to get tired, they may strain their eyes. And so you have to take care of yourself and also teach your students how to take care of themselves. And when I say self-care, people think spoiling yourself. That's not what I mean. It's those everyday habits that boost your health and well-being. It will be a beneficial behavior that provides some sort of gratification. You know, some people say, I have to exercise, and some say, you should run, you should walk. But when I run, I don't like running. Running makes me anxious. It's like my daughter, she does aerobic exercises. And when she's finished, she's angrier than when she started. That is not self-care. Self-care is personal, and you must do what provides you with gratification. So it will make you resilient, and so that you'll be better able to cope with stress. And it must not be detrimental to the other areas of your life. You don't go exercises and then damage yourself. That's not self-care. And it also helps you to take care of your students and your family and build stronger relationships. At the end, if you are taking care of yourself, you will be better able to balance both your professional and personal responsibility. And that is what we're aiming for, because we're not perfect. No one is perfect. So this is an ongoing journey. You have never arrived. You're always traveling. So we have to actively work on our self-care. And this is the last one in the ramp, positive emotion. I was truly amazed when I saw this piece of research. It says our brain has a built-in negativity bias. So right now in the chat, I want everyone, whatever your name starts with, whatever is your first name, your first name, take the first letter, and I want you to type one positive word using the first letter of your name. You have 1 minute. Let me see who could do that fast. A positive word using the first letter of your first name. Let's see how fast. And perhaps are we responding?
Yes. You
You're
seem
testing
caring,
this theory.
versatile.
Yes. Would they quit? Would they quit?
Yes, terrific.
How many people
loving.
do we have in this thing? Is it about 60 something? I should see 60
70.
something words.
Yeah, 70.
You see how difficult? Let me see. Did we get 60 something positive words? 70 words? Excellent. So what does that mean? It means that you teachers, you are the head of the class. You definitely have learned how to be positive. So these are some of the ways I'm suggesting. On a daily basis, try to figure out what makes your students feel good and yourself. Now, if I ask you now what makes you feel good, type that for me. What makes you feel good, even as I present? Be honest, huh? And no, if it's too explicit, please don't share. Choose one of those safe PG-13 emotions, okay? What makes you feel good? And I'm suggesting that in the classroom, look for those things that interest the students. Incorporate it in your lesson. Play games with the students. Incorporate movement. Change the online environment. Don't always use Zoom. Don't always use the same platform. Don't always use the same app. You know, it's like people would say, if eating the same thing every single day, you get fed up of that. Nobody would want to eat pilau every day or dumpling every day. You would want to mix it up. So mix it up. Change your online environment. That forces you as well to learn new things. Listen actively in your virtual environment. Because remember, you're not seeing those children. So you need to listen to what they're saying or not saying in some instances. Reflect on the good things. What went well Don't beat up yourself for, the internet went down and you're grumbling. No. So yes, it went down, but what else went well? So you need to really focus on that and be thankful. Keep a gratitude diary. Be thankful. Now, I'm saying a diary, it could be a journal, and there are online journals like Tenzu, where you just use your phone or your Samsung Notes. Note what went well, because we remember what I said, the brain is biased towards negative. So we only hold on to the negative. That is going to be stressful. So you need to focus and you need to ensure that you are protecting your positive emotions. And that brings me to the end. I hope that you were able to take something away from what I shared with you. And I wish you well as you continue to teach from behind the screen.
Thank you very much, Miss Whiskey John. We had a lot of responses. Persons said that what makes them happy is dancing, gardening, traveling, music. All of these were some of the responding. Going to the beach, listening to the waves, all of those things were some of the responses that we received both in the Zoom session and on our Facebook, the Facebook Live. So I must say that it was really wonderful having you be part of this, especially because even though in the bio that I read, it said that your last, your appointment when you left here was in Turks and Caicos, I understand that you are now in Barbados. So it is such wonderful that even though during this COVID, with all the negative that has happened, one of the positives that we can all agree that came out of this was the ability to interact with persons no matter where they are virtually. So there's the possibility of you being able to present while you are in Barbados to our teachers here is something that we probably would not have thought of before. So we want to thank you again for taking time out to present. You had a lot of good, excellent points. You spoke about roadblocks to performance, that teachers need to look at roadblocks to performance for both them and their students. That we are now teaching, they are now teaching in a disruptive world, and we need to find techniques to adapt to this. We have to shift mindsets because you're now teaching in a virtual world. You taught us about how to adjust the teaching in volatile and uncertain times, which of course is the situation we are in right now, and how to ramp it up, build relationships, build agility, manage self and others, and to be positive. So coming out from your presentation, we have a few questions. The first question that I would like to ask that was sent in, parents are complaining that teachers are giving their students major projects to complete at a time where there is a lockdown, a national lockdown, and materials are not available for sale, or it's difficult to get some of the materials. So for example, we have the beaches are closed, a lot of the usual craft stores are closed that you would usually get items to do crafts and these kind of projects. What advice will you give to teachers and parents in this situation?
And that's where the agility comes in, because when you're planning, you will understand, the conditions, and you have to adjust your assignment so that you will take into consideration there's a curfew. We can't get out. So you'll have to adjust your assignment. And that's where we're talking about teachers learning to be agile and flexible and so on, because you're actually stressing yourself. Because if the students are unable to perform, then it doesn't make you look good. Because remember, a teacher's brand is built based on the performance of the students that they teach. And that is where teachers can avoid all that frustration and lowering of your brand. Adjust the assignments, take some time, make that project a virtual project. Yes, and adjust whatever it is you're asking. And it will take a bit of thinking. Remember I said think outside of the box. Adjust. That will be my advice to you. Make the adjustment.
Okay, thank you. We have one other question. What can I do as a teacher to encourage parents to be more supportive or involved with their children in this online learning?
build relationships with them. I would have suggested send notes to them. When school was in the face-to-face mode, most times we communicate with parents when their children are in trouble. And so over time, we have moved away from building relationships. There was a time when you taught in your community, you knew everyone, so you knew the household and so on. So now it's even worse. So we have to actively build relationships with the parents. You will get that reciprocity after you have built the relationship. Just think about it in terms of real life. You will go above and beyond for the persons that you care about, that you have a relationship with. If someone else comes up who you don't know, you have no relationship with, you will not be willing to become as involved. And even though it is their children, that has very little to do with the level of involvement. It's really all about relationship. You have to build relationship. You have to get to know the children, you have to get to know the parents, and you have to constantly reach out to them if you want to build and maintain that relationship. And when you get to that point, you'll know they will do anything for you. And once you have gotten to that point, they will begin to support the children. Sometimes as well, the parents don't have the knowledge or the skill set to support the children. And then you can reach out and ask them, is it that you need some support? So don't think that they're bad parents. Think that I need to work on building a stronger relationship with them and reach out to them. Teaching is an opportunity to network, to build relationships, and see it as networking. See it as building future capital. It's like when you have a business, you build goodwill. So my suggestion is, in this time, the relationships are more important than anything else. Because if you don't, you will not even have students in your class. They won't log on. The parents won't assist. And your performance, your students' performance will fall. You as a teacher, you will become demotivated, and it's all connected. So focus on building stronger relationships.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that was our last question that I have for you right now. So we will be taking a break, and we want to remind those who are listening, if you have any questions, that you can put them in, well, if you're watching virtually on our Facebook page, you can type your questions there. If you are in the Zoom session, you can also type your questions there. So we will be taking a break, and at this break, we have a message for all our SCA students.
Wash your hands.
New normal.
There may be temperature scans.
New normal.
Be early for class.
New normal.
Don't forget your mask.
New normal.
It's time to start.
New normal.
To keep your distance apart.
New normal. New normal. New normal.
Out with the old, in with the new. Germs stick to surfaces like glue. The new normal way is there to protect you. Stay home if sick, it may be the flu. Achoo. Please, if you cough or sneeze, cover with your elbow. Hands is a no-no. 6 feet apart from your school fellows. Simple guidelines you must follow. Hey, 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 it's SEA. Take a deep breath, it would be okay. Once you prepare, you would see your way. Arrive very early on that day. Hey, hey.
SEA.
Hey, hey.
SEA.
Hey, hey.
SEA.
It's the new normal, the normal way.
New normal. 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 New normal.
Welcome back to Teaching Behind the Screen. We now have our final presenter, and that is Ms. Suzanne Grant, Assistant Education Coordinator, Student Support Services in the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Suzanne Grant has spent most of her life working with individuals, families and groups. She is the daughter of Christian parents, the first of 6 children. She is a former student of Signal Hill Secondary School and received a bachelor's degree in social work and psychology from Indiana Wesleyan University and her master's in social work from Indiana University, Indianapolis. She spent 12 years working with individuals diagnosed with mental illness in the city of Indianapolis before returning home in December 2014. She began working with the Division of Education in 2016. Suzanne is currently the Assistant Education Coordinator, Student Support Services, Division of Education, Innovation and Energy. Her current position has allowed her to be exposed to the reality of some of the challenges faced by students, their families, teachers, and others within society as they navigate this new educational landscape. Let's welcome Ms. Suzanne Grant.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. And it's really a pleasure being here to speak to teachers on this forum. And since March 2020, we have been in a flux of change. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like change that much. It gives me great anxiety. It worries me a lot because I am accustomed to things being this way and operating this way, and I'm comfortable. And then when things change, it means that I'm out of my comfort zone. I have to adapt, I have to adjust, and that just makes it uncomfortable for me. But what I realize with change is that sometimes it can act as a motivator to be innovative and creative. Because I don't want to be in that position where I'm anxious all the time or worried all the time or not sure of what I'm doing, I look for ways to be creative and to get out of that situation. And you know, we have, in this landscape, our verbiage has changed. Right? So instead of look on the blackboard, take out your exercise book, you know, stop playing with whatever, give him back his pencil. What we're hearing now is Zoom and Google Meet and connected, unstable internet, or the connection drop. Pay attention, turn off your mic, turn on your video, you know, no texting, no inboxing while I'm teaching. And we see all of that as we operate in this new educational landscape. And so it's a little crazy, it's a little overwhelming, you know, it's a little too much sometimes. And you know, sometimes some of us even have nightmares about those words going through our head. The thing about hybrid and synchronous and asynchronous, I remember the first time I heard those words, I'm thinking, what does that mean? You know, and so I was able to catch up quickly because that is how fast-paced things are going now. And so my question to you is, how are you? My husband likes to say hanging on by a fingernail, or in local parlance by the skin of my teeth, you know, because it's a precarious time. You're not sure if you're going to hang on, if you're going to make it, if you're going to keep up with this landscape. You know, 1 or 2 things may be going well in your life and the rest are just falling apart. But we don't know that because you continue to teach our children. You continue to show up. You continue to be present. You continue to prepare. You continue to worry about their performance, and you continue to impact the curriculum, even though there may be stresses about the format of the curriculum and, you know, taking a brick and mortar and putting it on an online forum. You know, you continue to show up, and I have to say I commend you for that. And so we have students placing demands on your time, right? Worrying about whether they're logging on or not. Are they okay? You know, why are they misbehaving? Why are they performing poorly? Now, than they were before? Why is my A student all of a sudden failing? You know, we worry about our students. Are they getting enough to eat? You know, their parents are not communicating. And then teaching, am I doing well? Am I getting through to my students? Are they picking up what I'm saying? This online thing, I don't know if I'm doing well. Parenting your own children, as the speaker said before, you know, being there for your spouse, managing your home, managing the expectations from your administrators and supervisors, you know, within the school system. And some of you taking care of older parents, taking care of ailing family. I mean, when you think about it, it's tiring because you have to juggle so much and still show up and be present and to still engage the students and to still make sure that they learn and to still grade them. And so I know that it is a lot. So behind the screen, one thing might be working well or two things, but the rest is just not going well. And so behind the screen, and some of these came from the survey that was sent out, you know, there's the crying and always angry, shouting and screaming at your children because they're so frustrated. You are so frustrated, impatient with others, not enough time, you're working all the time. And Dr. Finley mentioned about sleep when she said, 7 to 8 hours sleep. I say, okay, I have something to aim for. 7 to 8, 10 o'clock? Okay, I will try that sometime. But sleep is escaping you because you have so much to juggle. And then you're talking about the somatic complaints. You know, my chest hurts me every now and then. And every time it hurts me, I'm thinking, oh my God, I have COVID. And all of that you have to deal with. The headaches, you know, sometimes the congestion, you know, and all of those things are what's happening behind the screen. And unfortunately, sometimes domestic violence, fighting, the conflict that happens in a home, and yet you still show up, to teach our children and holding it together by the skin of your teeth until you come away from behind that screen. And so the presenters before, they talked a lot about self-care. They talked a lot about what you can do. And what I want to add here is prayer and faith. And I think those are critical in regards to your coping skill. The idea that I can give what is going on with me to someone who is bigger than me and more powerful than me, even though I'm not seeing that person. My faith tells me that if I trust, then things are going to work out eventually. And I want to encourage us this in implementing all the other coping skills. You know, let prayer be a critical part. Also, leaning on your peers was mentioned before. And I want to let you know that student support services is available when you have those meetings, when you have those staff meetings or those PTA meetings. Invite us. We will come. We will chat with you. We will share information. We will provide support. You can call us and our contact will be at the end. Let us be part of those so we can share and we can support you. And another thing is improve parent support. When I was doing some research, that was one of the struggles or stressors for teachers, the lack of parent involvement. And I know that there are many, many parents that are involved, but especially for our children who are not performing well or who are not showing up or who are inconsistent, you know, that is critical. And as I said, student support will help with that. We have made our referral form an e-form. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to fill out. Fill it out, send it to us. We will help you to encourage parents. We will help you monitor the children and make sure that they're logging on, or at least assess what's the barrier to them participating. What's that parent's barrier to not picking up packages or not providing supervision or just not communicating with the teacher. We will help you. And so that e-referral form is available. We've sent it to all our principals, but as I said, the contact is at the end. You can email, you can check in, and we will send a copy of that to you. And let us help you with the children who may be struggling, that you are worrying about, so that you can focus on, you know, just taking care of you and managing all the stressors that's going on. And of course, as was mentioned before, If you continue to struggle, then we have professional assistance available. But before I go there, within student support services, we have these services available, the school psychologists available for psychoeducational assessments or individualized education plans that we can do, especially for children who may be struggling after an assessment. If it's warranted, they will do that and provide additional support. Our school social workers, and they provide counseling, they provide the emotional support. They are also able to do home visits. So as long as we get those referrals, we can do the home visits. We can track down parents. I have been in the office where people say, Miss Grant, no one else is here. Come, I found the parent. And we go and we meet the parents and we meet them all over. And let us help you in that way. Guidance, they are there, they are present, they're in your schools, they're in your classrooms. They present information on managing personal, social, on career guidance, on choices, and they are there to help and provide services. And of course, our special education teacher who would help to assess a child that's not functioning. And the reason I'm identifying this is that when we play our role here in student support services in supporting you, I believe that it will make your job as a teacher just a little bit easier, that you wouldn't have to worry and stress as much. You know, you would worry, but not as much, because we are here to provide support. Also in the division, of course, we have our curriculum officers and our curriculum unit, our school supervisors who are there. You can ask questions related to those units and they will provide support, because we are in this together. I know it's cliche, but we are all in this together. And so we are willing to attend your staff meetings. If there are any specific challenges, we will attend, because we know each school is unique, and we will meet with you, your PTAs. If you have any specialized trainings, we will support you as you navigate this new educational landscape. Now, for individual help, Dr. Finley mentioned EAP. Now, our EAP provider is Elders and Associates, and the number is on the screen, and we will also provide those information to you. So Elders and Associates, 6 free sessions. It's totally private, totally confidential. They don't run to division and say, hey, guess who come and hear what I say. No. It's private, it's confidential. You make your own appointment and you can call them and you can get that one-on-one support. And the others are up to the Division of Health, Wellness and Family, and other supports that can be provided, which will be posted. So, wrap up, stop, breathe, start again. Just pause. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I will tell you that I have to battle anxiety all the time when I hear in the numbers and you're almost ready to go back into school and these people just, right, according to our Prime Minister, but stop, breathe, and start again. Control what you can control. Always self-monitor and self-regulate so you know where you are, how you're doing, how you're coping, what you need. And of course, have faith. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Miss. Thank you, sir. I put up those words because as I was creating the presentation, I felt that it was applicable. And I'm not going to read all of it. It's Turning Around for Me by Vashon Mitchell, and you can listen to it later. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for teaching my nieces and nephews. Thank you for not giving up and throwing in the towel. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. Even when you're frustrated and you think, I've had enough and I'm done with this teaching profession and XYZ, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I have been with my nieces and nephews when they're being taught, and I am thankful that you are in this profession. You are essential, and we will support you from Student Support Services and the division as we navigate this new educational landscape. Be blessed.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grant. And thank you again to the teachers, as you said, because you have been doing exceptional work. It has not been an easy 13, 14 months. It has been very difficult, but yet you are still there and you're still working hard and you're still pushing. And from all of us in the division, we want to say thank you to all our teachers. So Ms. Grant, you spoke about the demands that are being placed on teachers right now, the technological challenges and even the environmental challenges. I remember a teacher also saying, you know, you have to deal with, sometimes there might be electrical outages, there might be music passing that is loud, there might be some other issue, the internet is down, as you said, all these different challenges that before were not present in a teaching environment that teachers now have to deal with. And you really provided some little techniques that, you know, you could use, especially that stop and breathe, because several times, even though I am not a teacher, I know those numbers, it really would hit you in a kind of way when you hear them and you start to wonder, you know, when next can I go outside, when next can I do something. But, you know, we really need to stop and breathe and just take a moment to relax, you know, and sometimes you might have to find something to do to really help you focus and help you calm yourself down. But it really was a good, that's a good technique. Also how to manage and prevent burnout, of course. And you spoke, of course, about the services offered by the division, in particular the student support services, the different professionals we have there, and of course even our curriculum unit and the other services that are offered by the division. So again, I want to remind those, if you need any support, any contact information for those in the division, although of course, you know, with the current state of emergency, we are not operating at 100%, you can visit the division's website at thadeie.gov.tt. That's thadeie.gov.tt. And on that website, you will find all the contact information, email addresses as well for all the departments in the division. So you can contact, you can reach out to someone there. If you want to reach out to the Student Support Services Unit, that number is 299-0781, extension 3109. So as we go into the questions, there was a question earlier about teachers who are being contacted 24/7. We also want to encourage teachers to use that email option. You can probably create a separate email that you send out to your teachers, to your parents, and they can use that to communicate with you, so that if you don't want to use your phone all the time, or you want to be able to get the information and deal with it at a later time, that's another option that can be utilized. So a question that we have received for Ms. Grant: with the onset of online instruction, it is reported that a large number of students have dropped out. What are some of the reasons you believe for this exodus?
We have noticed, yes, as student support services, that there are some students who are not logging on, who are not picking up packages, and even few who have opted, okay, I'm done with my this phase of my educational life. And there are numerous reasons that were given and that we've observed. One, there is a frustration with keeping up on the online platform. There were children who were struggling before, and just being on the online platform is very challenging for them, not having that one-on-one. And parents who may have had economic challenges and the child is old enough and they decide, hey, you know, I am downgraded or unemployed, and so they may go seek employment instead, hopefully with the aim to come back later on and finish their academic life. A lot of frustrations sometimes with connectivity. Thankfully, the division has worked on getting devices to many, if not most, of our students. And so that has been a particular frustration. And sometimes even when connectivity is available, the connection is dropped so often, you know, that it's a little bit frustrating to engage. And so parents are frustrated. They're not there sometimes to supervise. They go to work thinking, hey, my child is doing this and it's not happening. And that child is absent from classes for a length of time. So yes, there's a combination of supervision, there's a combination of frustration and not being able to keep up on the online platform, children operating better when they have the one-on-one instead of the virtual, and just contributing to the household because of financial means. So those are some of the challenges that we are seeing. along, of course, I mentioned with connectivity and in some cases devices that may contribute to children either being inconsistent or deciding that they're not attending or dropping out totally.
Thank you very much. And there's actually a second part to that question, but I'd like to ask Ms. Whiskey John, how could teachers assist in preventing this dilemma? So we have this exodus of a lot of students who are dropping out. So to Ms. Whiskey John, how do you think that teachers can assist in preventing this dilemma?
Well, to me, it goes right back to the building of relationships. And I'm going to reiterate that because from my personal experience, I've found that if you don't have a relationship with that student, if you didn't have a strong relationship with the student prior to COVID-19, prior to the online environment, you find it's difficult to keep them engaged. Remember in the face-to-face scenario, their parents will drop them off and ensure that they stay in school, you have a security, that they won't run away. And all of that goes to external or extrinsic motivators. We have to build a relationship because then it will come from within. Once you build that bond, the students will now want to learn, want to come to school, and regardless of the challenges that they face, they will persist. They will come out, they will try to log on, they will stick with it. If you are unable to build or you don't have a relationship with them, unfortunately, I think it's going to be very difficult to get those students back online.
Thank you. And we actually have another question that I think you might be the best person to answer. How can teachers manage time so that sessions are not so long, but you still get the same level of engagement from the students? So we have some parents who are probably saying that their sessions, they find the teaching sessions are so long. So how would you recommend that teachers manage the time so it's not very long, but you still get a high level of engagement from the students?
There are a couple of techniques, but one that comes right to mind is the use of chunking. And that strategy is where you more or less condense your information, but not condense as in jam-packed. It's condensed that you don't teach more than 5 to 6 points, more points than a child can memorize by the end of the lesson. So even as I was preparing this presentation, you'll notice that I put it together like, if I ask people what was the name of the presentation, they'll tell you, ramp it up. And that's because I have essentially created what I call a lock and key situation in a very short time. I've tried to give you a lock and a key. I've given you ramp, and you will be able, once you remember ramp, you'll be able to unlock the other factors. It's a strategy that I know works, and what it does is that it forces you, the teacher, to do a little more planning in order to organize it so that you can chunk the information and deliver it in bite-sized pieces. So in the virtual environment, you can do the delivery using the chunking method, and then provide games and other opportunities that are fun to reinforce the concept. So it allows you to teach the concept in a very short time, and you don't have to sit in front of the computer for hours, and the children won't get bored. Usually children's attention span right now is between 10 to 15 minutes, regardless of their age, because of the virtual environment. Even as we are talking, there are people I'm sure listening to this presentation, but every few minutes they're off, they're looking at their phones because their attention span would have become shorter because of that whole virtual world, digital natives and the millennials, and given the environment, our attention spans are shorter. And therefore, I would suggest chunking as a strategy and you can do some more research. I love to use acronyms as well. I call this technique a kind of lock and key situation. When I put it in, I do it in such a way that it's succinct and there's a way to retrieve it very quickly. and you have quick references. So everybody will walk around saying, "Oh, let's ramp it up," but you know what ramp it up means. Yeah, so I am suggesting that's a good strategy. And there are others, there are persons who have other strategies. And perhaps in the chat right now, persons can share strategies that they have used in order to cut down on the time, but yet deliver. And we're not talking about doing a set of handout, because remember, you want the students to remember what you've taught. You don't have that opportunity, as much opportunity to revise and to reinforce and all of that. So you have to give them catchy ways to remember what they're doing. Also, the use of the arts, music, singing, letting the children create videos and PowerPoint presentations for themselves as well. And there are lots of other ways that they can use the technology to reinforce and shorten the amount of time that you, the teacher, are on the stage. You're actually flipping the classroom and letting the children do the work, but use the technology and let them also learn and explore and so forth.
Thank you very much.
We
have another question. This one is for Ms. Grant. We are fast approaching the new school year, and one of the challenges that teachers face is that they have to wait a long time for books and assistance to be given by student support. Without the books, teachers are further stressed. Can you indicate how the wait can be reduced, thereby easing the burdens of teachers as physical school is out?
That's a good question. And last year was such an unusual year. That program started very late. And thankfully this year we are ahead of the game. And so my hope and my expectation is with this program that whatever books or supplies are approved, that students would receive those before they go back into school, whatever that landscape would look like. And so we aim to make sure that that is not a stress that is faced by our parents or students and by our teachers this year, as we try to follow our traditional schedule, which is right after school closes, to provide some support and assistance. Barring any unforeseen circumstance, we aim to try and get that rectified so that students could get their books to get back into school.
Thank you. And I believe we have our final question, and I guess unless after when this one has been responded, we have another question coming in, and this one is for Ms. Whiskey John again. We know that a parent-school relationship is extremely important, but what strategies can be used, especially for parents who seem to not be interested? So we may have some parents who are not interested, and what strategies can be used by teachers when they're faced with those kind of scenarios?
Sometimes you also have to teach the parents. I talked about the relationships, and I'm not going to go for that again. But you have to find, and you're fortunate now because the classroom is home. So you get a chance to interact with the parents indirectly. And so you can do things to begin to get parents involved, asking parents for primary school level. I know when I was at that level, I would ask my parents to sign off on the book. Sometimes they can't help. They don't know what it is about, but I get them and I am reeling them in gently. So you have to find if you know your parents, what are they interested in? What would draw them in? Now, when it's face to face, you can have a social because people love food. But I don't know, in the virtual world, it will be a bit different. So you have to really think, how can I create a virtual event? I'll give an example. Parents love to see their children being rewarded. So even in the virtual environment, you can do a virtual prize giving. You get your parents, so you're giving out monthly prizes for the child who has the most improved and so on. Because, we are so accustomed with face-to-face, we haven't transitioned fully. But if you do a virtual exercise like that, you get the prize and you think your parent must turn up. You send them the invitations, you get them involved because parents, they want good news. This is a time where you have to focus more on the positive and start looking for good news. so that you can share with these parents so that they will want to be associated with that. You know, if they think their child is excelling or they have improved and they're being acknowledged and recognized, and you want to have a parent award, why not create an award for the parent who contributes, or create a segment of the lesson where parents have some sort of involvement where they can be featured and so on. So you have to actually create opportunities for your parents to be involved, not necessarily in teaching the child. Because remember, as I said, it's about building the relationship. So you're looking for those opportunities to socialize with the parents and draw them in and get to know them. And until you are able to do that, and you have to think outside of the box, because it's even worse, it's not, as I said, face-to-face when it's virtual. So create events, create online events for your parents, you know, and a concert. And it doesn't matter what subject you have. You can create activities and opportunities for parents to come on in a virtual, send them the link, you know, your child is performing and so on. Get those parents involved, because they all have the connectivity, they have it on their phones, and let them know that you are willing and you're ready and you want them to be a part, and make them feel welcome. You know, in face-to-face, a lot of parents don't feel, and over time, they would feel unwelcome, because that's the way our school is. You know, they say, don't just come into our classroom. You have to make an appointment. Don't just come anytime, because that. So now that is we're getting the backlash of that, because we now want them involved and we need them. But because of the past, they're not going to be that easy to get into the classroom. All right, so we have to try those novel strategies. Create events and not work. They don't need any more stress. Create social opportunities where you can connect. So I leave you with connect, and build those relationships. That is the way forward.
Thank you very much. So we have another question. This is for Ms. Finley Stewart. What are ways you can engage your child in healthy activities during the SOE? Now we know that during this time we cannot unfortunately go for runs, go for walks. We're very limited in our movements. So what are some of the ways that parents can engage their child in healthy activities during the SOE?
You can actually do fun activities, you know, use your imagination. When we were younger, we used our imagination to play. And that's something children today are not able to embrace, because we don't practice it much with them. We put them in front of a screen, we tell them, you know, go play a game, and we avoid them. And this whole lockdown, this whole pandemic has actually brought us back to a place where we now have to interact and socialize. What I would do with my nephew, because we have a little space around the yard, so we'll play a little cricket, a little football, basketball, you know, those different things, you know, little races, jumping jacks, get them moving and stuff. We even have them doing gardening to keep them occupied. So even if you don't have as much yard space, you can do something in your house. As I said, you could even use an app to play a game. Use the imagination. I spy with my little eyes. You know, do different activities, get them to thinking, you know, because this way they can even learn while they're playing and interacting. You would be surprised how relaxing it is. So try it, use the imagination, come up with games that you would have played as a child and interact with the children. Trust me, I've done it with my nieces and nephews, and it actually releases stresses on a daily basis when I do those activities with them.
Thank you. And I think that was our last question for this evening. So since I have you here, Ms. Finley Stewart, we want to invite all our panelists to give some closing remarks. So if we can first get some closing remarks from you, Ms. Finley Stewart.
I just want to remind everyone, this whole situation has really affected us mentally. And you know, my focus is on mental health. And I want to remind you that don't feel ashamed that you feel stressed. Talk about it with someone. Write it. Sing about it. Scream if you have to. But let out the stress. As we're all reminded, there's areas you can socialize with. You can even contact other persons, just vent, you know, let them know what's going on with you. because trying to battle this whole emotional struggle alone can really take you down a rabbit hole. So, you know, focus on building your mental health. Wake up each day and thank God for this opportunity that you are alive today. And if you take one good positive thing for the day, it will actually help to motivate you forward. So that's why I want to remind you, keep positive, keep focusing, keep socializing with person, just talk to person. And you will be surprised how those little activities, as I mentioned, will help to bring more positivity to your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Whiskey John, if you can give some closing remarks.
Sure, thank you. As we close, I want to ask the participants, first let me remind you that you are the author of the story, and I would have shared with you a plot. So I want you now to be a conscious actor in your story. Decide, are you going to stay stuck? Are you going to just adapt or adopt to what is happening? Or are you going to shape the way forward? And if you've chosen C, remember I said I would share with you, I would choose C because I like the freedom to choose, to shape. There is enough leeway for you to be innovative and creative and maximize on the opportunities that are afforded to you through COVID-19. You will build your skill set because you're acquiring new skills. You're learning how to use the technology, and no one can take that away from you. Look for the positive. Build yourself. Care for yourself. Write your story and ensure that you shape your children. And with that, I thank you, and I hope that you do flourish, because you don't want to just survive COVID-19, you want to flourish.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Suzanne Grant.
Let us help you. Mrs. Whiskey John talked about that relationship, and don't wait. When you see things, when you hear of things and you think that, you know, a child may need help, or parent may need to be contacted, reach out to us sooner than later, and we will be here to support you. The division is here to support you. Yeah, I'm grateful for the secretary and administrator we have that are really supportive of what we do and what's going on in the division, and we are here to support you. I know things have happened in the past, but COVID has redefined and clarified our vision. It's helped us to understand what is important and what is not, and we will be here to support you. So I remind you, stop, breathe, and start again. Control what you can. Always self-monitor and self-regulate. Make the adjustments. And do not forget, you need to have faith, because it's not going to be like this always. Sooner or later, it will turn around and will turn in your favor. But we are here to support you. So have a good night.
Thank you. And I want to remind all those who are listening that we have a lot of support from the division and other entities around. We have the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Psychologists, who is offering to help anyone who needs someone to talk to, anyone who is burdened with persistent or overwhelming emotions like sadness, anxiety, or depression. You can call any of their numbers. It's a long list of numbers, so I encourage you to visit their website. It's findcarettt.com, and also virtualwellnesstt.com. So you can visit any one of their websites and you can get those numbers on who you could contact. Of course, also the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development, they have a family help hotline. The number is 683-8347, and you can contact them 24-hour support assistance. You can call or WhatsApp this number and you can get assistance. So that number again, it's 683-8347, and you can call or WhatsApp that number for more information for that type of support. And again, as I said, the Division of Education, we have our student support services. We can be contacted at 299-0781, extension 3109. And of course, any service you need from the division, you can visit our website, thadeie.gov.tt, or visit our social media, our Facebook page, and you can get any information on the services that we offer. We want to thank all the teachers who joined us this evening. The session, I know that it was very welcoming to you and provided a lot of techniques and different strategies you can use to cope. And we want to encourage you again, as we have, as Ms. Grant said, we have our Employee Assistance Program through Elders and Associates as well, that you can contact them. And as I said again, our student support services, our school supervision, our curriculum unit, all our officers are here to assist you throughout this process. So as we end with our teaching behind the screen, next week we will have a special session which will be targeting students, and that will be next Tuesday at 1 p.m. So it will be a little earlier, of course, for our students. So you can look out on our Facebook page and our website, and you'll get more information on that session. So as we close, we have a message from our Student Support Services Unit. Thank you again for being a part of teaching behind the screen. Everyone be safe, wear your mask, practice social distancing, wash your hands, and keep looking out at all the COVID-19 regulations. Please, everyone, be safe.
I'm so sad and alone. Nobody likes me or understands me. I don't like doing the things I usually do, and I feel as if nothing is ever going to go right again. I am so depressed.
Depression is a serious mood disorder that makes you feel sad, hopeless, and alone, and interferes with your life. It's sometimes very hard to explain how you feel to others who have never felt the way you do. It is more than just feeling down, and they may want to tell you to snap out of it, but it is not so easy, and it won't just go away. You see, when you struggle with depression, you may have trouble concentrating or focusing, so it might be difficult paying attention in class and completing your work. You may not enjoy the things you usually do, so you don't hang with your friends or go to the movies. You'd rather be alone. You may feel like there's no hope and nothing is ever going to feel good again. You may feel worthless, like you're a failure, and it's hard to look at the positive things in your life. You may feel angry or restless, and everything and everyone gets on your nerves. You may experience trouble sleeping or tend to oversleep. You may feel like you have no energy, feel drained, and your body may feel heavy. You may eat too much or feel like not eating at all. You may have pains such as stomach aches and headaches.
You see, with all these things happening, even if they did not understand, my parents and my friend noticed some of the behaviors. I took short walks on the beach, danced to my favorite music, talked to my friend. I took the opportunity to do some work with a community group in my area. I was also able to meet with a professional who helped me with my diagnosis.
There are many types of depressive disorders, like major depressive disorder, chronic depression, and bipolar depression. And working with a professional will help you understand the cause, recognize the symptoms, identify the type of depression, and determine the type of treatment required. If you or someone you know struggles with depression, do not wait. For more information, contact the Student Support Services Unit of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy at 299-0781, extension 3154. Start the conversation and get the help you need.
Quite a number of people struggle with anxiety, as it is one of the most diagnosed mental health disorders. It's that feeling of fear or worry that is so great that it affects your performance at school and your relationships with those you love. It's okay to be afraid of something, but when that fear or worry prevents you from living a normal life, it is time to get help. Our bodies respond to stress in different ways and for many different reasons. So the first day of school, meeting new people, trying something new, or taking a test may cause us to feel nervous, fearful even. However, if these feelings are so extreme, last longer than 6 months, then you may have an anxiety disorder. Trying something new or taking a test may cause you to feel anxious. It's unpleasant, but it can motivate you to work harder and to do a better job because you won't want to fail. That's an ordinary response, but when you have an anxiety disorder, the feeling of fear and worry is with you all the time and may prevent you from doing the things you enjoy and need to do. Someone having an anxiety attack may experience increased heart rate, rapid breathing, restlessness, trouble concentrating, and difficulty falling asleep. These signs may seem scary, but anxiety is treatable, and you can learn strategies to help you cope with and manage your symptoms. The first step of managing your anxiety is recognizing that there is a problem. Other steps include taking time out to do something like listen to music, taking deep breaths, counting to 10 slowly, getting enough sleep, exercising daily, and just doing your best. Mild cases of anxiety can be managed with lifestyle changes. However, in more moderate or severe cases, treatment is recommended to manage symptoms and lead a normal day-to-day life. For further information, please contact the Student Support Services Unit of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy at 299-0781 extension 3154. Start the conversation and get the help you need.
While this coronavirus pandemic continues to challenge us every day in every way, especially in tourism, now is not the time to let our guard down.
I choose to protect myself, my family,
my co-workers,
my community,
and this beautiful place called Tobago.
Because it's going to take a united effort to create a safer Tobago
for residents, frontline staff,
and hopefully, very soon, visitors from abroad.
Together, we can do the right thing by putting our mask on,
physical distancing,
following all the recommended safety protocols to fight the spread of this virus.
Tobago needs every single one of us to do the right thing.
and lead by example.
No matter who we are. As an entertainer,
as a sister and friend,
as a husband,
an entrepreneur,
a leader, I put my mask on and so should you.
Join us in putting your mask on, because covering your face is one small act of kindness
that has the power to bring us together and potentially save a life.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on.
So put your mask on. Please, let's help to return this island to normalcy.